I certainly do not mind helping people do something sometimes. And I certainly do not like the idea of someone else being up against the notorious and organized situation that I am up against. So I'll tell you a few things. I don't like trying to get my mind around it because it's so criminal and dishonest. Yet it comes down through the pipeline as sort of a folkways. When people start fighting over things, it's pointless to try to reason with them sometimes. You either just join the fight or get out of their way. Seeing people organized to do something very criminal makes me very cold towards them. But they are studied in such things as um, restricting food, even poisoning food. The British had Bobby Sands so insane with hatred for them by the way they operate that he rubbed feces on his wall and refused to eat until he died, even when they were ready to canonize him. He refused to stop. So that's the sort of person or cult that I'm dealing with. So you can see why I don't particularly like trying to get my mind around it. They broke my sister's ribs. They raped the girl I love as a friend more dearly than anyone in the world. They purposefully made me into a pricey object that no one touches, but they pass money around me. I saw a, a teacher describe something similar to this. He was interviewing people about the civil rights movement in Allegheny County. He came across a man who was on his deathbed who had quite a bit of experience, who refused to talk to him. Now, he wasn't making any money, he was paying for this document that he was producing. And his friend said, "No, I won't talk to you because you'll make money off of it." He said that the poor man had been driven insane by this sort of thing. So it's clearly something that they do to people very deliberately and coldly. But I will say a few things that I've learned to know about it. It has nothing whatsoever to do with an honest day's work. They would refuse to acknowledge an honest day's work. It is slavery. They tortured me to make $1 million off of me as a curiosity. That's what they did. It's an established feature of European collections. Now, Dia Dallas, who comes up in my writings occasionally because of her connectivity to Cliff Robertson, to Diamanda Gallis, to John Lennon's stunt, and proximity to people like Will Zell and McGarvey at Tyler Art School. Her mother, I met her at the governor's school. Her mother said to me, "In war, only the art matters. That's the only thing that matters, not the people." The cinema crowd behind the great dictators who put together the semiotic story that I've disclosed and clearly deserve to be granted um, recognition and award for this labor, said in one of their movies starring Ingrid Bergman. They showed images of people. Nobody cares if they live or die. Well, clearly, it's erroneous to say that nobody cares if you live or die in a society that's making social progress. But one of the things that we need to make social progress against is the idea that predators are somehow sanctified. So they will say it is about honest day's labor. Lou Carl once put his hand over this finger and he said, that's what a dead man feels like. His finger was here and my finger was here, and he said, do like this. That's what a dead man feels like. It's a weird sensation. They invented a dead man and say, you owe this dead man your soul, your life. They're a protected circuit of the right-wing military. And they honestly don't care about white and black. They have a lot of black players in their movement. And they say it's cultural compensation for slavery to torture a white man. I mean, people who are black leaders in our society seem to think that nobody can know what's going on in their mind. They wear it on their shoulders, even if they lie about it. You know, the idea of innocence until proven guilty is a law. That you don't entrap people is a law. And what they basically have is these people, coyotes like Clarence Thomas, who say even though they abridged the law, they violated the law, even though they lied, even though they tortured a child, even though they used the child neurohypnotically for sex. And this was a time the adults were saying that sexual liberation was knowledge, not carnal knowledge, but scientific knowledge, freedom from superstition. That's what was in the works, in the culture. Love American style and so on. Even though they start off with as the perpetrators and authors of the dirty, that's clear from the fact that it's scripted. They lie about that. And their partners come and say, oh, well, it's folklore. Folklore has to play itself out. And some of the ways they've justified it is they attacked me blindside as a child. I was only 98 pounds, and it was like being shot. I was hit from behind. They say, oh, you would not fight. So there's a whole circuit of NAM veteran dishonorables and undesirables and so on. And brilliance, like Oliver North, who see it as due for the traitor of the heart. I mean, there's probably other things you could work out about what that goes on in their heads that they settle on as a yaha about it, you know. I mean, my homework shows that the police were in on the pornographic genocide. They went along with it totally. And arguing for privacy is pointless and futile because the people arguing for privacy are the ones who hold the trump and invade privacy all the time. That was the whole point that Yoko Ono was gurgling about in films like Fly. Was, you know, the Lenin people always say we were the biggest bastards of all. You're supposed to think, oh, he got it in the end. He didn't. It was a Houdini. And all the things I just described shows you why they would pull it off. What's to stop them? Why would they not do it if they're criminally psychotic to such an insane degree. Now, people say, oh, I think I'm special. I want exceptional behavior. You ask them, do they know someone who's special, who has been singled out and tortured and abused by people claiming to be his friends from a time when he was still a zygote? They were planning it. Do you know somebody? And they say I'm playing all big. I'm not playing all big. I know I know their minds. I know what they say to each other. I know how they explain to themselves. It's better to be corrupt. It's better to lie. It's better to be dishonest. It's better to rob somebody of an honest day's work. It's better not to acknowledge that somebody paid you a duty call and instead to backknife them and ruin their name. Because that's what sort of circuit it is. It comes from Pittsburgh, Donald Trump, and evidently Biden has his finger in the pot. Kennedy certainly does. For me, it's very simple. Pay me for my hard work and my injuries. Don't flatter yourselves by thinking you can recognize a great artist. You can't recognize a great artist. You're psychologically incapable of it. So there's no way that anybody asking you, am I a great artist, can rely on your opinion.